James earns millions from internet marketing. Tim's got millions of questions. Welcome to Freedom Ocean. Now, jump on in.
Welcome back, listeners, to episode 34 of Freedom Ocean, and I am your host, Timbo Reid, and right there is James Schramko. G'day, mate.
How you going?
I'm very well. Hey, sometimes I think we should record the conversations we have before we hit the record button because they're full of gold.
What did we talk about today?
Well, just stuff, just what's going on. Behind the scenes stuff.
That could be the episode, just stuff. The episode where we talk about stuff.
We could just hit record one day and forget it was on and then leave it to our fantastic editor guy, Liam, to make sense out of the nonsense. But there is good stuff there. But, hey, mate, we've got a bit to cover, really, today. We're going to call today's the membership show. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're back to the themed episodes.
Well, no, but I like to think, I think it's always good to set up front the meaty stuff that we're going to talk about, but there's plenty of other things we're going to cover, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm up for it.
All right. Well, how's your week been, more to the point? Well, how's it been since our last episode, more to the point?
Just unbelievable, like this huge snowball gathering momentum rolling through the village. It's kind of exciting. I'm just about to release my newest product, so it would be out around about the same time this podcast goes to air, and this is my next mission, I guess, after the traffic grab success of last year. I've gone back to product creation mode and gone through the same process of documenting and collating and putting together some really good, tight content, but this time around the topic of business growth and creating a business that you can actually generate cash from and sell. And it's basically how I created a business that funds my lifestyle, and I call this the Wealthification process. So I know in different episodes we've talked about things that I've been doing in my business, and now what I've done is document them all into some really compact modules, and I'm about to launch that. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it is. So tell me, mate, because you've mentioned it occasionally. I didn't realise it was that close to launching it. But so what's the pitch for this product? Just explain it to our listeners again. What is it, and why it's good?
Okay, well, a little bit of background.
Yep.
Most people who try this internet marketing thing fall down because they have no idea about running a business. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of our listeners have picked up, particularly the last episode, they really got some of our business ideas that if you want to be successful online, you have to understand that that is a marketing channel, and you actually have to have a business that in some way interacts with that marketing channel. So of all the people that I've trained and coached and consulted for and given advice in memberships, the thing that they're missing is general business knowledge. So I've gone and compiled all the modules that they need to glue that together. They need to understand about people, all the things we've talked about in our podcast: people, systems, strategy, cash flow, asset management. These things are just not well understood. So I've gone and tied them together into the shortest possible content pieces I can to explain that, so that now someone can come to internet marketing and learn how to run it like a business and really grow it. So you apply these things, you should start to double, triple, quadruple an existing business. And if you don't have a business, it's a great foundation. So I like to think of wealthification as being the process of creating a profitable business that funds the lifestyle you want.
So would it be a profitable internet marketing business, or could this apply to anyone starting?
This actually, it really would apply to any business owner. And, the bulk of the lessons are things that I learnt running a car dealership and a lawn mowing round and working in a timber yard and debt collection. All these lessons through my life I've pulled together into this consolidated effort. So, it applies to any business. Any business has to understand a marketing cycle.
Love it. Now, mate, we've got plenty of other stuff to cover. In fact, if people want to get that, by the way, how do they get it?
Well, they should go to freedomocean.com and have a look for our products page where we recommend products that we like.
Well, we have a bit of a discussion around membership sites, aren't we? But specifically how you retain a member within a membership site, yeah? But in particular a forum.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of forums popping up lately.
Well, before we do that, forums. I got some feedback because I'm thinking of starting a forum for a small business crowd that is part of my other podcast with my other lover, James. And someone was saying the other day, whose opinion I do respect, that, there's a lot of forums out there that are ghost towns.
True. Tumbleweeds.
Tumbleweeds.
The death of a forum is not being active.
So what makes a good forum?
Delivering value beyond the amount that you charge is when it comes down to it. They're not going to become a member of your forum because you need money. They're going to become a member of the forum because they get something for being a member that is beyond the value that you charge.
Marketing.
That's the bottom line.
Marketing 101.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be not that obvious to other people.
Yeah.
You need to think, are people banging your door down saying, we want a membership, and then cast your mind back to the last time you had a membership and what happened that time that would be different this time?
Yep. Well, the last time we had a membership was the slow release of a whole variety of marketing information for the small business owner. And this time, and it didn't allow people to network and to share ideas amongst each other, whereas the forum that I've got in mind this time does.
Right, so you've actually done one of the steps I mentioned.
Yep.
You've gone and identified why people left.
Yep.
They're the most valuable asset you own, is the people who already used to be a customer and are no longer a customer anymore.
Yep.
Aside from the one that still is a customer, because they'll tell you why they were a customer and why they weren't a customer.
So tell me, with the setting up of a forum, our intention is to, if we do it, populate it with a whole lot of good quality information that we already have, that we may have already been selling individually, but actually putting it into the forum. But how do you go about getting, because it's chicken or the egg stuff, how do you go about populating it with people? Because there's no use saying...
That's the thing I'm saying, unless you get at least 50 or 60 or 100 people in there, it's going to be a flop.
Yeah, no, that's right. When I say how do I populate it with people, I don't mean that. That's why I do marketing, is to drive people to it. But in the first instance, you've actually got to have, what is it? I don't know what the number is, 10 or 20 people that, what's that terminology, that you grandfather into the program for free in return for them helping to create content, ask questions, answer questions, yeah? Is that the idea?
Well, when you say that's one strategy. If you want this thing to work, you should devise a way to have 50 people arrive all at once. Otherwise, it's going to flop. And however you do that is up to you. You could have a sale, which is, a launch, which is pretty common. In the case of my most successful forum, the first time around, the first one that I really got off the ground was bringing in 78 people, I think it was, all at once. And I gave them a credit period and had to work my tail off to make sure a good portion of them stuck. And we say stuck, it's not meant to be a demeaning term, but that's actually the marketing reference, stick factor, the stickiness. So you want to try and make sure that after the trial period expires that they stick. And you need enough people to stick that it gets traction and survives.
Hey, mate, been a pleasure as always. We better wrap it up because I think we're into sort of the 45-minute mark or thereabouts. So thanks for sharing all that, James. I know there's a few of the listeners on Freedom Ocean that already have forums, so they're going to benefit greatly. And there's probably a few out there still tossing around what internet marketing business model to adopt. And whilst forums I don't think is for the beginner, it's certainly a good one. So thanks, mate, and you'll be the first to know when I launch the other my forum.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. All right, mate. Well, we'll see you out in the ocean.
All righty.
See ya.
Thanks for diving into the Freedom Ocean with James Schramko and Tim Reed. You've just come that little bit closer to living the life you choose. Please keep in mind that the ideas, opinions, and information shared in the show are those of the hosts and do not reflect those of their past employers. And as far as future employers go, well, they're both pretty much unemployable.